welcome to the latest exhibition of emerging young Auckland-based artist Seung Yul Oh at the new Dowse gallery in Lower Hutt. The installation with its playful shapes and forms gets its title, Bogle Bogle, from Korean-born Seung's memory as a child playing an old computer game and watching Korean soybean stew being cooked.
It's a Korean language that is a description of sound or an action describing some sort of stew or something that is boiling with making bubbles, it pops. And also it's an old 80s game, computer game that was named Bogle Bogle. It had little dinosaurs, shoots out bubbles and sealing up the enemies and lifting up out of the space.
Hence this visualized interpretation of the sound, Bogle Bogle.
I thought Bogle Bogle, for me, I can visualize those sounds. It's funny how it's a written language, a word, or in the letters, that we can feel the sound, we can visualize its form, we can almost taste it, but it's going to be like Bogle Bogle sort of feeling that you enter in.
One of the hallmarks of his work is that it needs to be childlike and playful in nature.
I mean, I don't want it to be sad and depressed, sort of, yeah, I mean, it's better to be happier, I guess. Yeah.
Seung studied for his bachelor's and master's in fine arts at University of Auckland's Elam School of Fine Arts. Over the years, he has had many successful solo exhibitions using many different materials to create his pieces, such as expanded foam, concrete, balloons, and even popcorn. For Bogle Bogle, he has used mainly fiberglass, resin, and steel.
But overall, it's all been painted with automotive paint, so it's quite a hardware that that can deal with weather as well as its longevity. Also, it can create a brilliant shiny surface too. It can almost be like a mirror finish.
This is a site-specific work that we've commissioned from the artist. We flew Seung down and he stood in the space for about, well, a day and came back to us a couple of weeks later with this proposal for this fantastic show. So yeah, he responded to the space, to the various architectural elements in the space. You know, a lot of jagged edges in the walls, and so you know what he's come back with is a really organic show, I think, in response to the architecture.
Someone who knows his work well is John McCormack from his dealer gallery Stark White at Karangahape Road in Auckland, where Seung has had 3 exhibitions.
I think one of the great things about Seung's work, and indeed some of the other artists that we're showing from Korea, is they're bringing an Asian sensibility, not just content, but an Asian kind of quality into the art scene here. So in the same way, in the 90s, a lot of the interesting work that was done in New Zealand was by artists with a mixed European and Maori heritage. So I think the same thing is happening in Auckland in particular at the moment, where there's an Asian sensibility that's marrying itself into the art that's being produced here. It's interesting work, and I think it's feeding the art scene generally, as well as looking good and interesting to people like me or to collectors.
Seung's hoping that his next step forward will be to continue doing more exhibitions locally and hopefully do an exhibition back in Korea or an arts residency overseas.
Finding opportunities or wait for some of those opportunities to come through, and I'll be open for any kind of experiences through my career. Yeah.
Bogle Bogle ends at the new Dowse Gallery on May the 30th. To find out more about Seung's work, check out this website.
Well, that's all we have time for this week. We'd love to hear from you, so do write in. You can find our address at the TVNZ website. See you next week, same time. This programme was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.